Yellow, season's greetings. Welcome to The Spread, NESN.com's Football Picks Podcast. I'm NESN.com's Mike Cole, joined as always by Ricky Doyle, Andre Khatchaturian. Gentlemen, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. We got a little special Yuletide greetings episode of The Spread. We're going to do two this week, and starting with this, our Christmas Saturday special.
Yes.
If you want to call it that.
Yeah.
I guess they're both Christmas specials, considering the both episodes will take place before the games. But in this one, we will run through the Saturday games. That's all we will do, is run through the Saturday afternoon, Saturday night NFL
Winter
slate.
solstice.
Week 16.
Winter solstice Saturday.
Is that when winter
Yeah.
solstice is?
Just-
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Great. Delightful. That actually, you want an ultimate spin zone. That
Shortest
means,
day of the year, so just sit and watch football.
Or, yes, and then that means after that, it's a march till summer.
Yeah,
We're
the
right
days are
back
getting
into
longer.
summer.
That's what I love.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
just the days are going to get
Oh,
longer.
my God.
Oh,
Yeah. We don't have to deal with this much longer, right? Yeah, no more. It'll be spring before you know it,
you're
guys.
on a boat.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We've had 2 feet of snow in the last 2 weeks or whatever it's been.
It really is the first march towards springtime.
It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, though.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm ready to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, it's true. And especially once Christmas comes and goes, you're just like, all right, we're in it. Now we're tunnel vision.
Ditch the gloves and have this. Let's duke it out.
Yep.
Let's duke
At
it
least
out
you
with
get
Mother
the
Nature.
you get the NFL playoffs. That means we'll have some great episodes of The Spread. Maybe we revitalize The Spread for the XFL, because that's going to start up after the Super Bowl as well. And before you know it,
Don't
my
tempt me
homework.
for a good time.
now we're talking.
Really good time.
But before we get to that, we have to get through Week 16. And there is quite an interesting slate. I don't know if it's just I've been studying these games so much this week that I've talked myself into them being very good.
Well, I think
But-
the reason why they're good is because they flex them.
True, but I'm even talking about Saturday. So this,
That's what I'm saying. They flex
with-
the Saturday games.
But wasn't it tentatively scheduled? Oh, no, that's right, because they had like the floating date
Yeah.
for, that's right. Good point. Yeah, so, but I mean, these are, the Saturday games I think are all very good. I've talked myself into all of them, except for maybe the Sunday night, or the Saturday night game I could take or leave. But we'll start Saturday. Actually, before we do that, you want to get to the records from last week?
bad.
Sorry
Let's
about
make
that.
this quick.
Yeah.
Ricky, you and I 6-9-1 in week 15. You 5-10.
I think I went 0-5 on the show last week, so it's been ugly.
Fade us. Fade us.
Yeah, that should be the name of the show. Just fade us. That's all it said.
This season, yes.
That is our Christmas gift to everybody out there. Just fade away and you'll
Fade
make
away.
a ton of money. All right, let's start Saturday afternoon. Weird. This is the only game that's going to be on Saturday afternoon. It's going to be bright and shiny in Florida. Well, actually, there's rain in the forecast, but the Houston Texans head to Tampa Bay.
Theoretically speaking.
Yeah, it's just, you think about it. This will be like, it'll look like, this actually, might look like in Home Alone 2 when they're in Florida and it's just pouring rain all,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
They're
exactly.
just sitting at, that was in Miami, but it rains in Tampa all the same
Buzz
too.
will have this pulled up on the TV.
Bingo, right. They'll be trying to
Adjusting
track down
antennas.
Kevin in New York while they're watching Houston Texans at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Texans come into this one riding high after their win last week over the Titans, a huge game in the AFC South race, while the Bucs, red hot Bucs, I think they've won four straight, just murdered the Lions last week. Ran right through them. Like the total right now, 49.5. It looks like he's close to 70% of the bets coming in on Houston. Weather, mid-70s, could be rain, some heavy winds here and there. Sounds like a delightful afternoon in Tampa, Florida. Ricky, who do you got here?
Yeah, you mentioned the 4-game winning streak. This Bucs team, a little bit of an enigma, I guess, this year. Trying to put your finger on what exactly they are. Better, I would say, than most have expected.
Sure.
But I don't know how much stock I'm really willing to put into this 4-game winning streak at this point. A lot of that stems from the level of competition. You look at the victories over Atlanta, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Detroit. All those teams with pretty suspect defenses, which could, it's a big reason for the, you're scoring at least 28 points per game in each of these games. So I look at Tampa. They still have issues turning the ball over. They've turned the ball over 8 times in those 4 games. So they've been relying a lot on some deep balls, some defensive touchdowns. I don't know how sustainable that is. For the Texans, I do have some concerns about them playing down a little bit to the level of competition. Just we've seen it several times throughout the course of the season. They also are kind of vulnerable in pass coverage, so maybe Winston has one of those games where you look and at the end of the day he's got 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions or whatever. But I don't know.
2 interceptions.
Oh, you have to. I don't know. I just can't comfortably take Tampa Bay in this game, so I'm going to take Houston.
I'm very comfortably taking Tampa Bay in this
Okay.
game. I'm very confident in the Bucks. I just think I'm not looking at the 4-game winning streak at all. I just think it's a bad matchup for Houston. Houston is 5th in yards per carry. They're a great rushing team, but we've talked about Tampa Bay's rush defense all season and how good they are. They only allow 3.4 yards per carry. That's the second best. So Tampa Bay, they're actually 13th in yards allowed per play, but they've allowed the 3rd most points in football. Why is that? Because of all the turnovers that Jameis Winston, they're always screwed with field positioning because Winston always throws picks. But Houston doesn't really force turnovers, only 8 picks this year. So I think that's another reason why Winston, I think it's going to be a shootout, and I think Tampa wins like 39-38. It's going to be a fantastic game. Absolutely watch this one.
I think, excuse me, I'm also taking Tampa. The weather does scare me when if you're going to, like the wind more than anything else is tough when you get two offenses that are going to try to throw the ball. And I think that's going to be the case here because I don't think Houston's going to be able to do anything on the ground against a very good Bucs run defense. And obviously the Bucs want to air it out. So the weather is something to keep in mind here. But I think it was on Oddshark, they were leaning toward Houston in this one, saying, this is a real test, or this saying Tampa has feasted on bad defenses, which is kind of to Ricky's point. I think Ricky was talking more overall, teams that they've played. But if you look at it, this actually is the best defense, or the worst defense that they've faced, worst pass defense at least that they've faced in this over their winning streak. I think Atlanta 26th, Jacksonville 21st, Indy 14th, Detroit 25th, Houston 27th in DVOA pass defense. One thing to keep in mind too, we'd be remiss not to mention this, Tampa Bay might be without, they will be without Mike Evans, they'll be without Chris Godwin, and they could be without Scotty Miller. I'm okay with that though. Rashad Perryman, huge game last week. He's going to be the number one guy this week. He's been awesome over the last 2 weeks even. He's averaging 23 yards per catch, scored 4 touchdowns. Also worth considering, Jameis Winston dealing with a fractured thumb. He's throwing tennis balls at practice, so that's fun. It's actually hilarious. I saw a video like the 3 quarterbacks, they're like dropping back to throw, and the 2 of them on his one, he's flanked on each side, and they're throwing actual footballs, and he's like throwing a tennis ball. And it's like, what are we doing here? But hey, he's played through it the last couple of weeks and looked pretty good in the process. I also think something to keep in mind here. I wonder if Tampa Bay kind of goes to what Baltimore did versus Deshaun Watson. The Ravens treated Watson like a dirty little pervert and slapped him silly. Held him to 18 of 29 passing for 169 yards, and they blitzed the hell out of him. Only Baltimore blitzes more than Tampa, so I think there's going to be some game plan things that the Bucs can kind of study and go from there. I think Watson, according to Baltimore Sun, Watson dropped back 37 times in that game. Ravens blitzed him 19 times. So I think you're going to see a lot of blitzing there. When they sent 6 or more rushers, Watson was just 1 of 6 for 9 yards and a pick, according to the Baltimore Sun. And also when they sent 5, he did complete 6 of 7, but he was sacked 4 times, including a strip sack. So I think there's going to be a chance here for them to kind of make some put Deshaun Watson in a tough spot. Again, I don't want to overstate or understate how bad the Texans Texans offensive line can be. They still without Titus Howard, if I'm not mistaken. They had him in that Baltimore game. So they've come around a little bit, but I still have questions about that. So I'm going to take the Bucs here. And you're getting points.
Father says what?
Yeah, I have a few things here. I'll tell you later.
All right.
Anyway,
Bills,
so
Patriots,
do we have anything
AFC
else?
title
Yeah,
game.
sure. Let's go to Saturday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. The Buffalo Bills take on the New England Patriots. Patriots 6-point favorites at home. The total right here, 38.5. That is low. I tried to look into when the last time the Patriots had a game with a total under 40 points. I couldn't really find anything. The Oddshark database wouldn't go back that far enough. It's going to be a car crash game. 2 very good defenses, 2 of the best, perhaps the 2 best defenses in the league. It's a nice night for a neck injury. Andre, who do you got in this one?
It's so tough because it's a big number, 6.5 points. But I think it's an overreactionary number. I think because of the Patriots' struggles recently and the Bills coming off with that big win against the Steelers, I think that number should be bigger. Actually, the more I think about it, so I'm going to take the Patriots. That again, when I look at both quarterbacks in this game, Josh Allen and Tom Brady, you could say whatever you want about Brady not having a great season, but at least he's not going to turn the ball over as much as Josh Allen might. Josh Allen just throws the ball crazily sometimes, and that defense is still that defense. It's going to feast on that crappy offense that Buffalo is. And all these Bills, Josh Allen's has all these touchdowns, rushing and passing. I don't think that matters against this Patriots team. They shut him down once, and I think they'll shut him down again. And that defense will give them good field position through turnovers, and the Patriots will win by more than 6.5 points.
That number is big, the 6.5, and you mentioned the over-under was what, 38?
39.5.
39.5.
Last time I checked, it could be.
So, those two numbers side by side, that's a sizable spread when you stack it up against the...
Yeah, so you're looking at
it's a tight window that you're trying to get into.
I don't think the Bills score a touchdown in this game.
Well, so my thing, and I'm leaning Bills here, is that it just seems like a lot of points to lay for an offense with the Patriots that's just really scratching and clawing for everything right now. And and I know Josh Allen is prone to turning the ball over, but I mean they should have won that game back in Week 4. He had 3 picks in that game. He's had 3 picks in the 9 games since. So he's progressively gotten better for the most part as the season has gone on. You mentioned the Bills' defense being perhaps the second best behind the Patriots. I mean, I would say Buffalo, New England, and San Francisco all sort of around there. Pittsburgh pretty good as well. But I do think just the way to attack this Bills defense is on the ground, and yet I just haven't seen enough from the Patriots to think that they're going to be able to do that. 27th in yards per rush attempt, and it's just, I don't know, it just seems like a lot of relying on trick plays and things of that sort. So it's a lot of faith to be putting in the New England offense right now to lay 6.5 points.
I think they can win 16-3.
They're going to have to. I mean, I think that's...
And I think it's very possible. You look at the Patriots, the teams that have given the most problems. Lamar Jackson, MVP candidate. Deshaun Watson, really good quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, former MVP. Josh Allen is nowhere near those guys. Maybe he will be in 2 years, but he's not there yet.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bills as well. I think, if you're the Bills, this is it right now. Don't get scared now. This is a chance to go win the division, or at least put yourself in a position where you're going into Week 17 with a chance to win the division. And right now, the Patriots are as banged up as I can remember them in a long time. They look like the Wet Bandits after a night in the McAllister house. You got Edelman, who's dinged up with the knee injury. I think it was Boston Sports Journal talked. It was Dr. Jessica Flynn. She said the best case scenario is patellar tendonitis, which is not fun, by the way. I've had that before. That hurts like a MFR. Worst case scenario, he keeps playing and he tears it even worse. That just seems like it's not going to get right anytime soon. He's got that shoulder injury that continues to linger, and something's up with Tom Brady. The elbow thing might be worse than he's leading on or anybody else is leading on there. So that's the results speak for themselves too. He looks like they finally started to get some things together with in that Cincinnati game with getting the ball to N'Keal Harry and kind of letting him run wild and getting him out in space a little bit more often. But the only thing holding them back in that game really was Brady. There was a few throws that he kind of overthrew a couple of guys, and there's that throw to the feet of, I think it was James White, that he just dropped at the goal line, a ball that Brady should have put on him a little bit better. So that's something to keep in mind. Brady against Sean McDermott's defense since he took over in Buffalo. This is according to Buffalo radio host Jerry Sullivan. He says, since McDermott was hired, Brady's averaging just 216 passing yards per game, 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, longest completion just 32 yards. And if he's without his, you see the videos of, there was video came out Thursday afternoon from practice where Brady was stretching his elbow in the middle of things. Saw a video from Wednesday where Edelman looked like he was clearly limited. I just don't think that stuff gets better by Saturday, so that's going to be an issue as well. And you go back to this, what was it? I forget what week they played, but I don't want to take away too much from the Patriots defense in that game.
Week 4.
It's just, you look at Josh Allen. He did kind of looked like somebody who, if his head wasn't screwed on, he would have left it on the school bus. But he's, what do you have?
Analogies today.
3 interceptions in that game. I think he comes into this knowing he's got to limit the turnovers. You go back to that game, Buffalo moved the ball. They averaged 6.1 yards per carry. What was it? I think it comes down to limiting turnovers. I just thought this was wild. 26 of New England's turnovers have come in 6 wins. They won those games by an average of 23 points. The only game, that average would be even higher if it wasn't for the Buffalo game. They only won that game by 6 points, the Patriots did, and that was with the Bills turning over, I think, 4 times.
4 times.
They lost Josh Allen midway through that game, which might have been a blessing the way he was playing.
There's also blocked punt return.
Sure, yeah, right.
Career touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. And now you're dealing with the Patriots, who could be down Jonathan Jones and Jason McCourty. If you take, this is actually from NESN.com's Doug Kite. He said 80% of Buffalo snaps have come with at least 3 wide receivers on the field. So, the Patriots do have a deep secondary, but you start changing things around. Jones has been one of the best slot corners in the league. Now, all of a sudden, if he's gone, you get Cole Beasley running wild as well. And one other thing, I saw this on Reddit. Singletary has 7 runs of 20-plus yards on 136 attempts. It's 5.1% rate. That's the highest in the NFL. So all it takes is him breaking one of those, and with such a low total, if it's going to be a low-scoring game, I think they find a way to keep it.
Patriots' rush defense is suspect.
I was going to say, there's evidence to suggest that that could happen. I mean, we saw what Joe Mixon did last week.
It's been an issue for them lately. I mean, they tightened up a little bit last week, but
I'm just saying, Bills had 4 turnovers. One of them, was a block punt. How many picks did Allen have in that game? He had 3 interceptions.
And then
Matt Barkley
threw one too. Yeah.
That's right. Matt Barkley made an appearance in that game. But anyway, that's 4 interceptions. Maybe they try to play safer in this game, so that means shorter passes that the Patriots will swallow up really quickly and not let them move the ball out. I'm predicting 16-6 in this game.
Also, I think it was an interesting point. I think it was Greg Bedard, who does his weekly spot on Felger and Maz, mentioned, if Jonathan Jones doesn't play, he's usually used as like a spy, or they sometimes use him as a spy, which comes into handy against running quarterbacks. And Allen is a guy who gets loose and can run. And it was Jones who knocked Allen out of the game.
He's banged up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bills NFL best 9-4-1 against the spread this season, 6-0-1 against the spread on the road, 5-1-1 against the spread as an underdog. So
feisty.
It's a decent
value
spot there. Matchup notwithstanding.
All right, Saturday night. I'm not thrilled about this game, but maybe it'll surprise me. A nice divisional game for the Rams. Have a chance to play spoiler. The Rams all but done per Football Outsiders. They have a 1.8% chance of making the playoffs, so that's probably not going to happen.
We whiffed on that last week.
Yeah, we did. They got smoked.
Good for the Cowboys. That was a resilient performance.
Finally, something good happens for the Cowboys. They had to head to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. 49ers are licking their wounds after a loss last week against the Falcons. I think one that we kind of all saw coming. I think we all had that game. I don't know if we saw a loss necessarily, but there's some cracks there for the 49ers, but they're 6.5-point favorites at home Saturday night against the Rams. Ricky, who do you like?
Yeah, we were all over that.
We all picked the Falcons.
A classic letdown spot. It seemed like 49ers also without 5 defensive starters in that game, which almost seemed like they were punting on that week.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know why they would want to do that when the number 1 seed's hanging in the balance, but that's neither here nor there. So I like this as a bounce back week for the Niners. I guess the Rams, where you just mentioned those percentages, they're sort of playing out the string here. 49ers secondary is getting healthier. After last week, you got Richard Sherman probably going to come back. K'Wan Williams in the slot, who you could make the case has been the best slot cornerback in the NFL this season, coming back ahead of a matchup against Cooper Kupp. I think that's an ideal return. 49ers defend tight ends pretty well. Tyler Higbee was sort of the safety valve for Goff this past week, just sort of dumping it off, getting chunk yardage where they didn't really do anything with. So I just think in general this is a good spot for the Niners to get right before the playoffs. So it's my initial lean when I saw the spread. I thought it was a little high, just given the fact that there is so much talent on the Rams, both offensively and defensively. But I do like San Fran in this game.
I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. Again, we talked about last week and the week before when they played the Saints and the 49ers that they've hit a wall. They have injury issues. I know they're getting a little healthier, but still, they have injury issues. That week 4 bye is not good. They're tired. And guess what? It's a short week for them going up against the Rams. It's a Saturday game. I don't think that's going to be good for them. And their rush defense has been awful. They've allowed more than 100 yards on the ground every game but the last week since week 5. And I think it's going to be a big game for Todd Gurley. He'll eat apart the 49ers defense. The only thing that does make me scared I'm picking the Rams is that they really don't have much to play for, and usually that might not be. I don't know. When you're a good team, expected to make the playoffs, and then you miss out in the last couple of weeks, I feel like that they're not going to be as, I don't know. So that's the only thing that scares me, but that doesn't scare me that much. The 49ers being banged up scares me. They gave up 40, the defense, Niners defense. They just lost to the Falcons week before. Yeah, they beat the Saints, but they gave up 46 points. This is a team that's supposed to rely on their defense. I know it's against the Saints, but the Rams have a good offense. They can put up some points against the Niners.
I guess my concern is if the Niners offense is going to show up. I mean, obviously it's been a sort of a tale of two seasons for Garoppolo, and I don't know if you can get away with targeting George Kittle 17 times every single week.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point they're gonna have to buck that trend a little bit. So.
Oh, this is a tough one.
Tiebreaker.
I'm not sure.
You want
We'll
to
just leave it at that. Yeah.
No, well,
We should have one punt every year.
yeah, no kidding.
You should next
Play
year.
a little field position.
I'm gonna take. This is tough. I'll take the 49ers. It's just, there's a lot of stuff going on here, but I do think it comes down to the Rams are all but done. The 49ers are going to be looking to get back on track. I think this is. I like their. Thank you for that. I think they have a better chance of kind of figuring it out. They have more motivation to get it right. I don't like this pick.
You know
at
who's
all.
gonna love this pick that you just gave is one of our YouTube commenters who was criticizing us for using too much stats.
Yeah, right.
You guys don't use gut feeling enough in your picks.
And I love that. I need
Somebody-
more of that. I need more gut feeling.
Somebody does have to figure it out with, Jimmy Kittle, because you can't, like Ricky said, 17 targets
Huge number,
against
though.
Atlanta.
6.5
I know.
points. In my head, I thought it was just 1 point.
I know, but I will say Kittle week 6 against them, 8 receptions, 103 yards. The 49ers did a pretty good job of bottling them up. I will say the Rams were without Gurley that week. I don't know how much that matters. Is Gurley even going to play this week? Like, what's the point? Like, just save him, I guess, for next
That's
year.
my
at this
thing
point.
about in general. Like, I just have a weird feeling about the Rams at this point after last week.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's sort of to what you were trying to articulate.
Yeah, and it's also
a factor, but like,
it's also not
seriously, what the
like-
hell? I mean, what's
It's
the
also
point?
not like they won last week and then somebody else won, and it's it's going to cost them a playoff spot. Like, they got their asses kicked.
Right.
So I think they might be packing it in. Also, too, San Francisco, if they can build an early lead, it's going to put even more pressure on the Rams to just go away and cry. And San Francisco is averaging, 15 first half points per game, which is 5th in the NFL. So they're pretty good at starting fast. I think it was until the Ravens had played the 49ers, they hadn't given up a first drive touchdown all year, and the 49ers scored on the first drive. And then the same thing happened in the Saints game. So they've done a pretty good job of starting fast. I think Shanahan is one of those guys who's really good in the first 15 and gets it going fast. So
That's good for them.
The thing
Yeah.
about the Rams is like when the wheels come off, they come off.
Yeah.
Like when they lose, they make sure they get their money's worth.
Yeah.
So that's why like the 6.5 points is maybe that's why it's as big as it is.
Yeah.
It's like they're not gonna go in there and lose by a
They
couple
got
of points.
crushed by Dallas. They got crushed by the Ravens.
Yeah.
Who else?
They either win big or they lose big. So
They got crushed by the Bucks. That was a 15-point game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
The
point.
Bucks are an
So,
interesting team.
I
If Jameis Winston didn't throw so many interceptions, that would be a wild card.
Yeah.
I
Probably.
could just see them showing up and San Fran jumps out to an early 14-0 lead. To speak to your point about if they get up early in this thing and then it's just all downhill from there.
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
let's
That's
go.
it.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. Actually, we might be back before the New Year. Is there anything else we have left to say? No, enjoy the games on Saturday. And make sure to check out our Sunday episode, which you can also find on this and YouTube page, iTunes, and everywhere else. So, see you later.